Okay, so you may have noticed if you watched the Madison Square Garden rally that the former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, was one of the speakers. Go.
Maybe you don't like what Donald Trump says sometimes. Maybe you don't agree with it. But I'll tell you what, you always know what he's thinking. And we need that from a president.
All right, so Mr. Giuliani has a new book out, The Biden Crime Family, which I read last night. Okay? And it's a blueprint for prosecuting the Bidens. He joins us now from Palm Beach. Mr. Mayor, how you doing? Are you doing all right?
I'm doing okay under the circumstances. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you've
better than anybody thinks when they come up and say to me, "How you doing?" I'm doing fine. I love to fight, and I'm fighting the right cause.
Yeah, you've had a pretty rough go of it, that's for sure. But let's get into the book. So I'm going to run down things that I believe are true, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Let's do it this way.
Sure, any way you want, bro.
I believe that as vice president, Joe Biden used his office to enrich his brother and his son. Am I correct?
For 30 years plus, yes.
All right, as senator and then vice president.
As senator, remember he was 29 when he became a senator.
Okay.
So for a very long time, low level as senator, high level as vice president. Money.
All right. So he used his power to bring money through contracts and things like that to his brother and son. That is called influence peddling.
Correct.
But influence peddling is not a federal crime.
Well, first of all, it could constitute the crime of gratuity, which is only a 2-year misdemeanor. Yes, it could be a crime.
Right, because McConnell, you know the case of the former governor of Virginia. He was charged with this, and he got off. The Supreme Court threw it out because he said, look, unless you can prove a quid pro quo, Latin for this, for that, this doesn't rise. So there is
we can get beyond that with the email that is devastating and ignored by the left-wing press.
Tell me what the email is. An email, Christmas
of 2018. Hunter sends an email to his daughter, and he says something like, "You may be taking over for me. They never respected me, but for 30 years, I've paid all the bills of the family, and I've given half, and I've been required to give half of my salary to Pop." Now, to a lawyer, that's an admission.
Okay,
an exception to the hearsay rule. It's a powerful piece of evidence in a courtroom, more powerful even than a confession.
But if I'm the defense lawyer, I say it's hyperbole. He was just spouting off to his daughter. It's no basis in fact. But I just want to clear one thing up.
May I say, Bill, that every defense lawyer argues that on an admission,
right.
And 9 times out of 10, the person gets convicted because the judge charges a jury that an admission is more powerful than a confession because there's no element of coercion. The person volunteered.
You'd have to back it up with some other evidence. But
well, you can't.
The Justice Department couldn't charge Joe Biden with influence peddling because it's not on the books. That's one of the cruxes of your book. So you've got to have something else. Now.
Yes. Well, that email, whether you dispute it as a defense, look, all the evidence against Donald Trump came from Cohen. We disputed it. You didn't throw the case out because of that.
State beef.
I mean, the fact is, you always have witnesses who give testimony, and it's disputed. I'm telling you, this is about the most powerful testimony I've ever had in a criminal case.
I don't think it's enough for the feds to go after. The other Cohen thing was a state beef, and as you know, they would have used anything to charge Trump. Bragg and Letitia James in New York. Anything.
There were bank records to support. There are emails from a guy named Edelman, the middleman, who was transferring money back and forth.
I don't want to get in.
Everything that he said there is corroborated.
I don't want to get. Well, I'm interested in Joe Biden now, not Hunter Biden, not James.
Well, that is Joe.
The 2 congressional committees that investigated Joe Biden for this both recommended that he be impeached on it. But in their 300-page reports, they did not say that Biden should be criminally charged here because they weren't able to produce cash going to him. Now, when Hunter Biden says, and you chronicle it correctly in your book, I had to pay dad or pop or whoever half, okay? Where is that money?
Well, first of all, they never bothered to subpoena all of the purchases of the homes, which would show that Hunter purchased the homes. They also didn't subpoena the 400 or 500 records of little items that Hunter paid for in the house that was sent to him, like storm windows and new painting of the house. Also, Hunter paid for the tuition of his half sister. This is all part of the acting as a bag man and laundering the half to Joe. You have several transactions where 50 grand go directly to Joe, and it's exactly 50% of what they got.
But
So
where's the
answer
50
is
grand? Where is
50
it?
grand's in his bank account.
Oh,
That's in
I haven't
his
seen
bank account.
that. I haven't seen that
Well, they didn't show it to
50,000.
you. You didn't see the admission much email either.
No,
I mean,
I saw.
the
Listen,
committee
I
blew.
read what was on that laptop that you got. I read all that, but the congressional committees didn't produce any documentation, banking records that showed a $50,000 deposit directly to Joe
Well,
Biden.
there sure is. There's a bank record in February of 2016. It's a laundered transaction.
What does that
from?
mean? What's
It's
a
a
laundered?
laundered transaction that went through Ukraine, Latvia, Cyprus, and then into the Biden account. And 800,000 comes out for Joe Biden.
800,000?
800,000 of the 3.4 million that they got.
So you're
in that
saying that
particular transaction.
that $800,000 went into Joe Biden's bank account?
Yeah, it says 800,000 for the VP on the
But
laundered transaction.
The House subpoenaed banking records. They don't have that.
I don't know why they don't have that. They also didn't subpoena the woman in Ukraine who is willing to give up the laundered money.
All right,
and
I
has
got all
of
that.
the offshore bank accounts. The FBI has left her stranded for 4 years, and so did the committee. She has the numbers of the offshore bank accounts because they didn't just get 8 million. They've got money stashed away in offshore bank accounts.
I don't know why. I don't know
there.
why Jordan and Comer, who hate Biden, if they had evidence that $800,000 went into Joe Biden's bank account, I think they would have put that out. Now let's just advance the story.
They have a note.
I haven't seen it. I'm a journalist.
They have a note.
They haven't produced it. It's not in the report. The 300 pages. It's not there.
A lot of things aren't in the report.
Okay, but that's the biggest thing. That's enormous.
The woman came forward in January of 2020.
All right.
She said, I am the widow of the former owner who she believes was killed by Burisma, the person who, by Zlochevsky, the person who paid them off. Now,
well, people can read your book, and you got all of that in the book.
Let me finish. Your people will never hear this, and it'll be covered up the way it has been covered up. The people that did this, she was willing to produce. We handed it over to the FBI, and we handed it over to the Pittsburgh U.S. attorney. Barr buried it, never did it. The woman went and hid for 4 years, and she's still offering to do it, and nobody has followed up on it.
Okay, that brings us to present day. All right, that brings us to present day. Trump has indicated he's going to stop all this Biden stuff. That if he's elected next Tuesday, and of course he's going to appoint an attorney general, that he's not going to go after Joe Biden. He hasn't said it straight out, but he's indicated he's going to leave Hunter Biden alone, blah, 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 blah. Do you think that Trump will resurrect this case and then put an attorney general in charge of getting to the bottom of it?
May I say there's one thing I very much disagree with him on? He should have prosecuted Hillary Clinton, and we may have created a deterrent effect. He should prosecute this because, God forbid,
but do you think
this
he
be
will?
Repeated by Democrats when they come back. We have the criminal law not only to punish the wrongdoer, but to deter the wrongdoer. And
Do
one
you
thing
think
we've
he
done
will?
with the Democrats, please let me finish, Bill. One thing we have with the Democrats is we encourage their criminal conduct. Do you know how many crimes they've committed? Comey, perjury, straight out and out perjury.
All right.
Obama.
I don't think he's going to.
Money laundering to the Ayatollah. They keep getting away with it. I can give you 20 crimes that would have been prosecuted normally. We don't do it. We get scared, and then they prosecute us for crimes they make up. So we'll go through 4 years of being nice to them, and as soon as they get back in power, they'll try to put me and Trump in jail for the rest of our lives for something we didn't do wrong. You got to fight back. I don't want to do an unfair prosecution. I want to do one based on justice. I can convict these people. I have no doubt about it. I won every case I prosecuted.
That's what your book is about. That's what your book is about. It's called the Biden crime family, the blueprint for their prosecution. But I don't believe Trump is going to take it any further if he's elected.
I agree with you, but I think it's
wrong.
I
don't think he will.
The top people, not the little people, the top people should be indicted.
Well, if Biden got 800,000, he should be in jail. And we appreciate your time very much. Good luck.
More like 40 million.
Okay. You didn't vote for this economy, but you're paying for it at the pump, the grocery store, and through that stack of unpaid bills. Financial stress crushing. The solution? donewithdebt.com. Unlike the others, Done with Debt has new aggressive strategies that free you from debt without bankruptcy or loans. They will negotiate with your creditors so that you'll have more money in your pocket from month one and every month until you're debt free. And the best news, Done with Debt is accepting new clients. But don't wait. Some of their debt strategies are time sensitive. Let Done with Debt hit the debt reset button for you and make your money yours again. But again, this is time sensitive. So visit donewithdebt.com or call 888-322-1054 right now. Chat with one of their debt relief strategists for free. Go to donewithdebt.com, donewithdebt.com. Latest polling, Trafalgar has got Georgia 48 Trump, 46 Harris, but a big spread, 10-point spread on female 55 and male 45. Maybe that was the outcome last time, but that's a big spread. And of course, more females helps Kamala Harris in the polls. And that's why we give this to you. Arizona, Trump 48, Harris 46. Same thing. So Trump, according to Trafalgar, is up by 2 in Georgia and Arizona. Those are the latest polls that we have. I wanted to talk with the guy who runs American Pulse Research tonight, and I'm going to, but first I want to explain what that is. So it's a survey company. They do research. Obviously, if you're going to be named American Pulse Research, you do research. Hello? Anyway, they use sophisticated techniques to ensure accuracy, reliability, and objectivity in results. And that's what we like. Joining us now from Alexandria, Virginia, in the shadow of the nation's capital, Dustin Olsen, who is a pollster for the group, and he hosts a podcast, Political Trade Secrets. Wow. You know, everybody thinks I do a podcast. This is not a podcast. This is
a broadcast.
Yeah, a disciplined broadcast. But everywhere I go, oh, we watch your podcast. It's not a podcast. Not that there's anything wrong with podcasts, but podcasts are ruminating. You ruminate. Here we go. Boom. This is what's going on. So You say, Mr. Olsen, that you are seeing the best poll numbers ever for Trump. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's accurate. If you look at 2020 and you look at 2016, at this point today in those races, Biden nationally was up by 7.4%. and Clinton was up by about 4.6%. So that's a pretty big difference. Actually, when I checked right before we came on, and the Real Clear Politics average nationally actually has Trump up a huge 0.4% nationally. But for him, that actually is a pretty big deal because he's never had that at this point in the election. And then the swing states, this is the thing that I find really interesting, though. He's up by 0.9%. But each of the states are very close, and that's been different than previous elections. Sometimes one of the swing states will have a bigger margin, and then another state will have another bigger margin for the other person. They're all within a point or two, and that is unusual. So that's kind of where I see the race right now. You mentioned there's some people who think that it's possible that he could get the popular vote. It is possible. Really, the question is, have pollsters been able to figure out what their mistakes were in 2016 and 2020 and correct for those? I think we are really having accurate results. In 22, we had everything 91% accurate as far as the outcome and 98% within the margin of error. But I'm not sure if that's the case for all pollsters.
No, it's not. And that's why we have you on, because you were very accurate 2 years ago. The gender stuff, they sneaked this in. And some of it's based upon what the voter turnout was in a previous election. But other times it's the thumb on the scale. The pollsters know that most American women, by a small margin, will vote for Harris. Mm-hmm. And by a much larger margin, men will vote for Trump. So if you poll more women, the outcome is likely to be more favorable to Harris, correct?
That's correct, though the population is generally more female than male, and then the voting population is even a little bit slightly more than that. So it's anywhere from 52 to 53% is usually what you want your sample to be. For female, it depends on the state, and I can't speak to every specific state, but we always go in and we look at the census data, and we look at the previous elections and what the makeup was of the population, and that's really important for a pollster to do. People also look at the partisan breakdown, but that's been a problem in the last 10 years because the partisan breakdown, we've had a huge realignment within parties, where a lot of pollsters have really, I think, honed in, especially for states like Wisconsin and Michigan, is looking at who someone voted for in 2020. So we ask that question, who did you vote for? And then we look at that when we get the sample and see if it's in alignment with what the actual results were. And that has helped us to deal with
and that's a smart play. Now, the Republican registration has been reported to be up.
Yep.
Are you seeing that? Is that true?
That is absolutely true. In Pennsylvania in particular, there's some Democrat counties that have now become Republican counties. There's been a mass operation to register voters in that state. And then also the early returns tend to be a little bit more Republican. Now that is a state that has party registration, so we do have a better idea of which party people are registered in. Though, as you know, a lot of people registered maybe in the 1970s. They were a Democrat then.
And it happened. But my theory is that the Republican registration has gone up because the economy is still hurting many American workers in the higher price range. That's my theory.
Yeah, and plus the party identification. That's actually what we use in polling as opposed to registration, because it's kind of a state of mind. And we have seen over this election that people who identify as Republican are just, that's growing. And Gallup did a study over the summer where they found that this is actually the highest that they've seen, that people identify, as Republican or leaning Republican. They had it about 48% to about 45%, I think, for Democrat, which they also indicate is one of the primary factors to kind of guess who's going to win the election.
Okay, final question for you. Right now, as it stands, if American polls had to make a call, a prediction, you would say?
That's a great question. And if people go to pollingclub.com, we are releasing our final survey on Thursday morning. We're in the field currently with our survey. I haven't looked at the results.
All right, good. Because
the initial stuff.
Here's what I'm going to do for you guys.
All right.
So you're going to do Thursday morning. I'm going to do Thursday evening on my prediction, but I'm going to set up my prediction with your prediction.
Excellent.
So it better be accurate.
Well, yes, who knows? But I do think that the trend is in Trump's favor. But stuff like you mentioned the last few days, anything can happen in the last.
Yeah, I mean, the Trump campaign is largely undisciplined. But in the last 7 days, I'm telling you, it's got to be very methodical. It has to be, because a few more of these mistakes, and it didn't have to happen. It was such a crazy mistake to put a comedian unvetted, and they knew he was a bomb thrower. That's how he's made his reputation. And have nobody's watching what he's going to say? Unbelievable. All right, Dustin, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And let's go to the media madness. Reports out of Washington Post has lost 200,000 subscribers for failing to endorse Kamala Harris. I do not believe this report. Okay. What I do believe is that the guy who owns it, Jeff Bezos, the big billionaire, he doesn't like the paper. Thinks the paper is 100% liberal, which it is. They got George Will, but, come on, George Will on the right side. But they just push liberal agendas all day long at the Washington Post. And they're losing, I think it's more than $10 million a year now. And that's what Bezos is worried about. So he said no endorsement, and that is leading there. USA Today says it's not going to endorse either. That's Gannett, Arizona Republic, Des Moines Register, Detroit Free Press, Tennessean, El Paso Times. Nobody's going to endorse. Again, USA Today going out of business. I mean, it's a disaster. So these companies have said, look, we've alienated every single Republican and conservative in a country. They won't buy our product. We got to stop that. It's too late. It's too late. Not coming back. By now, you have heard me talk about Delta Rescue. They are a fantastic organization that helps rescue animals from the wilderness. You know, I'm a dog lover, so is Leo Grillo, the founder of Delta Rescue. It is his life's mission to provide everlasting care for these once abandoned animals. I myself have donated to Delta Rescue. Do you believe it is part of man's duty to care for dogs and horses, the animals that so much of our history is tied to? If so, please consider making a donation or consult your advisor about leaving a gift in your will or trust. There can be some tax advantages, and it's a great way to help Delta Rescue accomplish their mission. So please visit deltarescue.org to learn more. That's deltarescue.org. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach, measuring your metabolism through your breath. The app shows whether you're burning fat or carbs and provides tailored guidance to improve nutrition, workouts, sleep, and more. Simply breathe into the Lumen each morning to understand your metabolism. Then, based on your measurements, Lumen offers a personalized daily nutrition plan. Is this unbelievable? Now, your metabolism is your body's engine, and optimal metabolic health leads to benefits like easier weight management, better energy, improved fitness, and better sleep. Lumen's recommendations enhance metabolic health, even track your cycle and menopause onset. So, if you want to take the next step in improving your health, please go to lumen.me, M-E/Bill to get 15% off. That's LUMEN.ME/Bill for 15% off. Thanks, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. News Nation last night. So there was this town hall 2 hours, and they're going to rerun it Saturday night at 10. All right. And it's worth watching. So big cast is Cuomo, Stephen A. Smith, myself, Sarah Palin, Mark Cuban, Robert Kennedy Jr., a whole bunch of other politicians, pollster. It was all right. Now, when I went into it, and I didn't even want to do it, okay, because, right now, I'm so busy with BillO'Reilly.com and my operation. For me to go into that dopey city, which I had to do, and be one of the moderators of it, it's a lot of work. But News Nation was very good to me. They said, look, we need you in there as a traffic cop. All right. And they did. Although there wasn't any acrimony, there really wasn't any rudeness or personal attacks. We made that quite clear up front because there were about 100 people in the town hall. That wasn't going to be tolerated. Okay, let me play a couple of sound bites. So a Democratic Congressman, Jared Moskowitz from Florida, was there. And the Democrats pound the abortion issue, as you know, because they need women. They need 55% of women to turn out. Last time it was 52%. They get 55, Harris, because Harris will take the majority of women. All right. So Moskowitz, he's abortion. We'll take.
I don't support late-term abortions. But if you look at President Trump's position, which it's unclear, he said he supported the amendment in Florida, the constitutional amendment, and then he said he was against it. He's come out and said that he supports 15 weeks, but he supports that with exceptions, right? That's not some moral compass. He's looking at the polls. He's looking at the polling on the issue.
Well, wait. That's an interesting point you're making, Congressman. What was your reaction when the nominee for the Democratic Party said Trump wants to ban abortion? You know that's not true.
Well, hold on a second.
Wait, you know it's not true?
I know when Trump says something, I know it's not true.
No whataboutism here. No whataboutism.
Hold on.
You knew and know that what she said was false.
The only
does that bother you?
Hold on. The only reason you can say that is because we have a filibuster in the Senate. If it
She made the statement in front of the world.
Hold on. Yeah.
It's not true.
Bill,
Do you support that?
Bill. When you say it's not true in this world, it's not true today. It might be true tomorrow.
That's pretty convoluted.
No, hold on.
All right, so there you go. I gave you a little sample of it, okay? Now, you don't see that kind of stuff anymore on cable TV. You don't see it anymore. That's how I made my reputation on the O'Reilly Factor. But they don't do it anymore because it's hard to do. And nobody wants to get in trouble. Okay? So it's all speaking to the choir. So, and I like Moskowitz. I mean, he stands up for Israel. He's a party apparatchik, okay. But he wouldn't answer the question when the vice president absolutely lied. There's no doubt. And it's not like, well, maybe it won't be true in the future. No, she lied. Okay, number two, Stephen A. Smith, who's another good guy. All right, so Stephen A. is a sports guy. You may know him. He wants to get into a little more serious broadcasting, and that's smart of him to do it. So Stephen A. is putting himself up, and I think he's very sincere, that he is big on women's rights. Go. I just want to make one quick point, and this goes to you.
Sure.
Democrats have been very effective saying to women, American women, that the government has no right to interfere with your body. That's the mantra, right?
Okay.
Isn't there another body involved
Amen.
here?
That's exactly, that's the point.
Especially in late term. Isn't there another body?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we never, and I mean never, hear one word, adoption. We never hear what Bill Clinton said, abortion safe and rare. What we hear from the Democratic candidate for president is abortion anytime for any reason. Do you know there are only 3 non-communist countries in the world that has that law? And there is a reason for that. Okay. After the town hall, somebody came up to me and says, you know, they would never say that, what you said about there's another body involved, which of course is the unborn child, on the network. You would be banned from saying that. You couldn't say it on ABC, NBC, or CBS. You couldn't say it. That's how extreme this whole thing has gotten so fast. All right, final SOT on News Nation Town Hall last night. And again, I'll remind you, Saturday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, they're going to rerun it. So I injected some humor into this because I wanted people to feel relaxed. Go.
I believe that polls are really good for strippers and cross-country skiers, but not for a whole lot of other things. Because the women...
There will be no demonstration.
You're the only person who can say that and get away with it, Bob. That was good.
But no, I personally don't think that gender is such a big darn deal in this race.
But it is a big darn deal. All right, men will overwhelmingly go for Donald Trump, maybe 5 or 6 points. And women, they'll go for Harris. I don't think the plurality will be that big. If 55% of American women vote for Harris, she'll win. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on BillO'Reilly.com, please sign up to become a premium or concierge member. Visit BillO'Reilly.com to sign up and start watching today.